Hello and welcome to another tutorial from CamiPaige Boutique. I'm Brooke Tannehill and today I'm going to show you how I created this Valentine's Day Galaxy wine glass using all kinds of colorful goodies. I've said it before, but I love making Valentine's Day cups. They're so fun and all of the pinks and purples are just absolutely perfect. This cup was super fun and easy to make, so I hope you're inspired to make one yourself. As always, all the products I use will be listed in the description below, and you may even find a coupon code or two that saves you some coin. Also, come join our exclusive Facebook group where you can take advantage of upcoming freebies and giveaways that you aren't going to want to miss. So without further hesitation, let's go ahead and get started. For this cup, I am using a 15-ounce wine from Parish Tumblers. I prepped my tumbler and then I ombreed it with two paint colors using berry pink and silver lilac, with the pink on top and the silver lilac in the middle, letting that dry for about 2 hours, and then it was time to apply my glitters. I'm using the epoxy method to apply my glitters, and I am putting less than a milliliter around the entire surface of the cup, getting a nice even coat of epoxy on the cup that is smooth and just covers the surface ever so slightly just to work as an adhesive for applying the glitters. Now, both of the glitters I'll be using have a little bit of a chunky factor to them, so there is just a tiny bit more epoxy on it, but not too much to where it would cause any pooling around the whole cup. The first color I grabbed is Sully from Boujie Glitter Boutique, and this was in the A Little Extra Ink Epoxy Valentine's Day box and will be on the Boujie Glitter Boutique website shortly. But what I'm doing here is I am just focusing on the bottom of the wine glass, and I'm holding it just very, very slightly because of the curves of the cup. It can cause the need for the glitter just to go up a little bit higher than you're supposed to. So I'm just barely tapping and moving the cup around so that I don't get any globs. But I absolutely love this glitter because it's got opals, it's got hot pinks, and just a tad bit of actually teal in it that makes it an amazing custom mix. So after I laid the groundwork on the bottom of the cup, I am starting at the top rim, and I'm doing this just like I do any of my other ombres, just very slightly sprinkling the glitter on the cup, but also holding the cup down at an angle so you do get a little bit of that cascading glitter into that purple section of the cup. I know it looks pink, but I swear it is like a light lavender color, and you'll see the difference here when we apply our second color of glitter. But I'm just going around and just really sprinkling very lightly. And then I grabbed my second glitter, which is Love Letter from Boujie Glitter Boutique. Again, this was another glitter that was in the A Little Extra Ink Epoxy Valentine's Day box and will be on the Boujie Glitter Boutique website in the next couple weeks. But I'm just coming in and sprinkling this like in between the two sections of the Sully glitter, but also starting to get a blend. Now, I did put it in a medicine cup because I wanted to make sure that I got a nice blend, and putting the glitter in the medicine cup just gives me a little extra control and helps to blend with these kind of specialty cups that have a little more angles to it and makes the ombre just a little more difficult. But I am just lightly sprinkling the glitters and going back and forth between my two colors to get a nice blend. But I will say that the wine glasses are a little trickier, but nothing that you guys can't handle. I let the glitter dry for about probably 2 hours, and then I went in with 2 coats of epoxy to really cover the chunky glitters and really get a nice smooth surface. And then I grabbed my 120 grit flap wheel, and I am just exposing a little bit of stainless steel at the top of the cup to ensure the longevity of our cups and just also give a surface for our next layers of epoxy to adhere to. Once I have a nice even rim exposed, I am going to grab, I usually grab between a 60 to 120 grit sanding block, and you just come in and you just sand just right over where the flap wheel came in. And the reason why I do this is because in some instances the flap wheel can leave a pretty thick ridge, and that's just not comfortable for somebody who's drinking out of the cup. So just come in with your sanding block and smooth that out. And then what I did is I moved into some of the chunkier bits on the cup and just started to smooth them out with my sanding block. Now, I wasn't going to use my orbital sander, but I ended up needing it because of the chunky mixes and the 2 different glitters. It just helped to really smooth everything out and get a nice surface, because there you can see just how uneven it really was. Not because of anything that anybody did wrong with the cup, but just because of the nature of how chunky that glitter mix really was. So I'm focusing on the bottom to get a nice even surface as much as possible. And then I'm going to come into the sides of the cup and knock down any of those high points that could be sticking up from the pokey bits of the glitter. And this is just kind of an added step. You could just go right in with your orbital, but I just like to knock them down just a little bit before grabbing the orbital. I don't know why. It's probably just more mental than anything else, but I just like to kind of come through, feel where the highest points are, knock them down a little bit, and then I will move in with the orbital sander. Now, I know sanding is such a pain in the booty when it comes to cups, but I promise that this is a step that you are not going to want to miss, because it really, really impacts the overall just outcome of your cup, how smooth your surface is. So if you're struggling to get a smooth epoxy layer, I highly recommend spending some time to sand your cups, because it's going to affect how they turn out in the end. As promised, and if you've watched any of my previous tutorials, you know that this baby makes his appearance every time, but this is my orbital sander. I am using a 120 grit sanding paper on the bottom, and what I like to do is hold the orbital sander in place and just rock my cup back and forth to get a nice finish, except on the bottoms, which I'm showing you here. But I like to, again, hold the orbital sander in place and just move the cup around to get that nice smooth surface that you like to see. But this is typically how I do the sides. Just hold the orbital sander in place, rock it back and forth, and get that nice smooth surface for the next layers of epoxy or for the other design elements to be added to the cup. One thing to note is when you are done sanding, please do not wipe it down with alcohol. Just wash it with using like Dawn dish soap and let it dry fully and just kind of pat it down, because you don't want to use alcohol because it will cause your epoxy to repel. Here I am mixing 60 milliliters of epoxy. Granted, you do not need this much for this cup. I had a couple cups to epoxy, but I am using my boat prop mixer from CamiPaige Boutique, and it makes this process so much easier. It just mixes the epoxy without you having to stir. It really, really, really cuts down on the amount of bubbles. So if you're interested, you can definitely check this out in the description below. But also there's a bunch of other tumbler making tools that you guys should check out, because I think that they really help me to get great outcomes with my cups. And I think it'll help you cut down on some of the pain points that can happen when dealing with things like epoxy bubbles or applying decals to a cup. For this next step, we're going to apply a thin layer of epoxy and let this set up while I'm mixing the other design elements. Now, it's super important to add a base layer of epoxy before applying the other like the micas and the dispersion colors and the glitter, because this helps you to get a little bit of movement so that things aren't so stagnant. So after that layer of epoxy, I'm just going to separate some epoxy into little cups. And the first one there, I literally am pouring like 5 milliliters in a cup. And the glitter I'm using is actually 12-17-11 from PDB. And this is a glitter that was specially made by one of my favorite people, Brittany Barnes. And it's actually named after her wedding day. So a little bit of trivia, but I mixed that into epoxy. Then I just separated some more epoxy into another medicine cup. I added 2 drops of Alumilite's dispersion color, and then probably a little heaping bit of white or Winter Dreams from Unicorn Dust Micas. Then I poured some epoxy into another medicine cup, grabbed some wine or Lilac Wine from Unicorn Dust Micas, mixed it up, and then finally what I'm going to be doing is pouring a little of the other epoxy into a medicine cup and mixing up Raspberry Bliss into another medicine cup to apply to this beautiful wine glass that we are working on. While I was mixing this stuff up, I realized that I really didn't have enough epoxy on the wine glass. So here you're gonna see me just add just a tiny bit more just to give it that glass-like surface for applying the other designs. So just to recap, I'm applying more epoxy here, and then we're gonna come in with the 3 different mica colors with a little bit of dispersion color and the glitter to really add some design elements and some pop to create our galaxy on this wine glass. I started with the 12-17-11 from PDB and just applied it kind of every which way. And the reason why I started with the glitter is because I wanted it to kind of shine through, but also give some kind of depth to the micas that we'll be adding to the cup. So I just kind of put it sparingly around the cup. And then I came in with the white, which is again, it's Winter Dreams mica, and then the white dispersion color, and just kind of tapped it on with my finger just around the glitter, kind of giving it that backdrop of the galaxy look. Now, I know this is not a traditional galaxy, but you could use this technique to create it with those more traditional galaxy colors. But I'm just kind of dabbing it on every which way, and also kind of playing with the placement to make sure that we're laying down the different mica colors to create that look that we're going for. So then this is the Raspberry Bliss again, and I'm sorry if that is not the right color. I will definitely list the correct color below, but I'm just coming in and just adding it to the cup. So this is why I really liked the ombre background and then all of these colors on top, because this cup has a lot of depth, but without being too overpowering. So just worked with the pink, got the different placement around the cup. And then finally, I will come in with the purple. And the reason why I left the purple last is even though it appears to be darker kind of on camera, it is lighter than the pink. So I wanted to see the pink and the white play through underneath it. So that is why I chose purple last. But honestly, you can go in any order. There is no right or wrong, and just create something beautiful that ties into the colors and glitters that you want to use. I let this spin for a little bit and I did torch it, but don't be afraid to come back in and blend your colors a little bit more. I did do that, I just didn't record it, but don't be afraid to fiddle with it until you are happy with the placement and how everything is blending together. I let that dry for about 6 hours, and then I grabbed my sanding block just one last time to knock down any of the glitter that kind of was at the top of the cup, and then also any of the pokey bits that could have occurred from the glitter that we did add. And I didn't record it, but I did apply a XO decal to this cup using the textured vinyl from Cricut in the platinum color, and then I used a nice purple color over the top of that with an offset. And then I moved straight into epoxy. I did not seal this vinyl just because it was a pretty simple decal that was pretty good in size, but I just came in with 15 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy for the first coat, let that dry for about 6 hours, and then I came in with a second coat, and this baby was done. And here she is. This wine glass came out so cute, and this technique can be used to create endless tumbler possibilities. I hope this tutorial was helpful and inspires you to create something beautiful. If you have any questions about any of the steps or information I shared, please feel free to reach out and I will be more than happy to help. As always, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me and I truly appreciate it. If you like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see future videos. You can also ring the bell so you are notified of all future cup making goodies. Thank you again. I love you guys. Bye.